Hey guys, Drifter here. Before we get into today's video, I just wanted to make a little PSA and let you know that Brawler is now the best perk in Blackout because it makes it to where you get a 1 melee kill on your enemy no matter what. That's a fist melee, a knife melee, a butt of your gun melee. They have level 3 armor and a trauma kit melee. You punch them and they die, and it also gets you great death chatter.
All hostiles eliminated. Come on home.
But now let's move on to the main video. You're going to see gameplay, all of this post-armor update. You'll see fast collapse gameplay, some fun clips, some sniping, some vehicle work, lots of interesting stuff. And of course the topic is the armor update. 1 week later, did it really help? And did it make Blackout more fun, or did it make it worse? For those of you that didn't happen to catch those updates, I'm going to try to summarize it briefly. In short, armor damage reduction values were not changed, so it still takes the same number of shots to kill somebody with level 1, 2, or 3 armor. However, their durability roughly doubled from before, so it takes twice as long to fully break or shatter your enemy's armor. And it also has a nice little blue dash bar on top of it when you pick it up, so that each one of those little blue dashes is about 1 shot worth of damage. You can repair your broken armor by finding armor pieces on the ground in drops and stashes, or off of enemies whose armor you have busted. If you bust a piece of armor, it drops a certain number of shards depending, or not shards, pieces depending on its rarity and tier. This was a change that many people in the community, myself included, asked for many times. I think this was the community's darling idea. It was the dream idea. It's what we wanted, what we asked for, and it's what we got. But was it really good? Did it really help? The first part of this video is going to be things that it did help, problems that it did solve and made Blackout better. And the second part, probably the longer part, of course, is going to be things that it made worse and suggestions for improvements. So there were 3 main problems that the armor update fixed. Number 1 was player aggression in the whole risk versus reward category in Battle Royale games. Battle Royale games, Blackout included, is about surviving to the end of the game. It's about being the last man standing no matter what. So by the nature of these games, you have a lot of gamers that play conservative, that camp, that wait it out, that don't pick fights, and that's whatever. That's normal. That's a valid strategy, and that's fine. However, in Blackout, your reward for fighting was that you lose your armor. You would just bust your armor, you couldn't repair it, and if you went out and you fought people, you would end up in the last circle with no armor versus some dude with a level 2 or level 3 armor that just hid the entire game. So that was not fun. With this update, it's now to your advantage to kill people, to see what kind of armor or loot or armor repair shards or stuff that they have. So there is real reward for picking fights and killing people if you think you can do it. Of course, this caused people to camp less, which is a good thing. The game pace is a little better. The game, last circles aren't quite as crazy with everybody camping, and it's nice to find loot on bodies that's actually valuable. I don't think the best strategy is camping until the end anymore. I mean, camping is great, or hiding, but now it's a perfectly viable strategy to fight. On top of this, you can actually loot armor off of people you killed, which was a big problem before. You would kill people, and unless you got headshots only, the armor was almost certainly going to bust. So if you kill somebody, now you can get something valuable from them. Even if you have to shoot them a lot and you totally bust that armor, you still get armor pieces which can be used to repair your armor. And personally, when I'm playing, I find a lot of intact level 2's armors just laying around, and I find a fair number of level 3's that just need to be repaired up to be usable again. On top of this, the player experience in gunfights is better when it comes to understanding your own armor's damage reduction and how many shots left and how useful it is. The little blue bars go a long way in making it easier for you to judge how long your armor has left in a fight, and it's also easier to sustain an extended gunfight instead of just kind of taking pot shots at each other and trying to wait till the other guy's armor breaks and then you can rush in and kill him. Now you can each take turns and repair and kind of have a better idea of what's going on in an extended fight. So all of these things are improvements, and I think this is an overall positive change, at least in this capacity, but there were numerous unintended consequences to the armor update. I've got 7 of them, and they all made things worse, unfortunately. Number 1 is that the frequency of armor in gunfights is way higher now, which means lots and lots of hit markers in a Call of Duty game. Since armor has twice the durability, and you can repair it, and you can scavenge it, almost every single gunfight is now against the dude without armor. And when you find a guy that doesn't have armor, it's like, oh my god, we've got a guy, he's so weak, he doesn't even have armor. The downside for this is that it is a Call of Duty game, so having to shoot somebody 17 or 20 times often feels bad. It doesn't feel good in a tactical shooter to get 20 hit markers. The number 2 problem that I have here is that the frequency of level 3 armor is also way higher since it can be repaired up. It's no secret that level 3 armor is not popular in the community. Most of players consider it annoying, they want it removed, they want it significantly nerfed, yada yada yada. I am not on this train, but yes, it can get annoying for me when my final fight is against the level 3 armor dude and I've got level 1. But since you can now take a busted level 3 armor and repair it up with pieces, I very frequently see level 3 armor. I very frequently scavenge it. I run into teams where 2, 3, sometimes all 4 of them have level 3 armor, so the game revolves even more heavily around level 3 armor than it did before. Speaking of which, number 3, not having armor now is super rough versus manageable before. Before the armor update, it was not good to not have armor. You always wanted to have armor, but there were a lot of people with broken armor, there were a lot of people that had taken fights that you could hunt, there was just a lot of people running around with no armor. Now, if you have no armor, you are going to be at a very extreme disadvantage, so you have to be mindful of that, and it makes it really, really rough to not have any sort of protection. Number 4 is that it's harder to wear people down if they're running away. One of the many strategies, acceptable ones in Battle Royale games, is to run away and to not take fights that you don't have to, which is okay. However, I've seen this, I've done this myself, I think J-Hub lost his mind on stream one time, I've seen other people do this. An enemy will start running away and we'll shoot him and we'll tag him a whole bunch of times, and he can get over a ridge or behind a tree and not just heal up his health, but he can also heal up his armor with enough pieces laying around. So there have been people that my team has collectively shot close to 50 times, and they still had enough pieces to heal up that armor, to keep the health going, and to run away for a very long time. It's much easier to kind of slip away. Number 5, and this is where the thing really is going to start bothering me, is that pistols and SMGs just got a whole lot less useful. Those weapons, by their nature, are not typically considered high damage weapons. I think the highest damage weapon is going to be the MP40, and the Spitfire recently got nerfed, but the DPS is really high. The problem with this is they're really good against unarmored enemies because of the high fire rates, the hip fire, the mobility. However, when you start using SMGs against people that have level 2 or especially level 3 armor, you're going to be dealing something like 10 damage per shot out of 200 health, so it can take 20 shots to kill, which is mind-boggling and frustrating, and it feels like they're just eating bullets because they really, really are. The same with pistols, with the exception of the Mozu. The Mozu's kind of ridiculous. We'll cover that on in-depth. But these weapons weren't great before, but they were something you could function with, you could get kills with. Now they're way more struggly. I am much more selective in my SMG usage now than even before. I lean heavily toward the Spitfire and the Demon SMG just for the overall DPS. Another unexpected meta shift is that sniping often feels bad now because every single enemy is very heavily armored. You can just get days worth of sniper rifle hit markers on armor, and they can go prone, come behind a tree, repair it up. I've seen clips on Reddit, and I've experienced it myself, where you snipe people several times, like 4 or 5 times, and they still have armor, and they're still not taking damage, and they're still repairing, and it's really frustrating. It makes you feel like your sniper rifle, your extremely long-range, high-caliber sniper rifle shots are not particularly valuable. Sniping in Blackout now is more a mode of get headshots or just use a rifle, and the SDM is still the best sniper rifle after the nerf. I think the Paladin and the Koshka and the Outlaw got significantly worse, especially the Paladin because of the rate of fire, and the damage reduction is similar to what the Outlaw and stuff has going on. But it just doesn't feel good to snipe people. Maybe it's a feature. Maybe Treyarch really wants us to go for headshots and quit being noobs and going for body shots, but it is a console shooter and it's kind of a casual game. Getting body shots should really chunk people's health, but that doesn't always happen. It also doesn't always break armor. So number 7, with pistols and SMGs weaker and sniper rifles weaker, rifles are once again the most dominant class in the game, as well they should be for this mode. Rifles should be dominant, yes, but they are more dominant than ever, and overall class variety is low. Pretty much every fight is now a rifle fight with very little other stuff going on, and you see people carrying the same couple of guns around it. It kind of kills variety, which I don't think is a good thing. Battle Royale, obviously you want the best weapons, but a little variety, a little niche strategy here and there is nice. So the end result of these 7 things I don't like is that Blackout feels like a much chunkier game now. Is that a word? It just feels like I have to chunk people down, that I'm shooting Skittles at them. It feels a little bit like it's moved closer closer toward the Fortnite time to kill and health, and a little bit away from the PUBG really quick tactical sort of thing, which can be frustrating at times. I like crazy games, I like goofy strategies, I like having fun, but sometimes it's not fun to shoot somebody like 10 times and they don't die. So I don't like to offer a whole bunch of complaints with no suggestions on how to improve it. I've got 3 of them. Each one of them would help. In combination with each other, maybe better. Suggestion number 1 is that level 3 armor spawn rates could be lowered, or just armor spawn rates in general. Maybe that's kind of a risky thing, but if level 3 armor is way harder to find, it will not be as frequent in gunfights. I think the spawn rates now were designed around level 3 armor that would break after about 2 fights, but now that you can repair it, people keep it to the end of the game. So if we lowered the spawn rate, you wouldn't see as many teams with like all 4 of them having level 3 armor. Treyarch could slightly decrease the durability. The double durability is a good change, and I want to keep the higher durability. I didn't like it when my armor just busted all the time. But maybe a little bit less. Maybe if it's double, let's take it up to time and a half. Maybe time and a half is the sweet spot. And this works because the armor breaks easily. So if somebody takes a whole ton of damage, they are disadvantaged. And when you kill them, you still get armor pieces, which are still valuable to you as a player. And my personal favorite for all of this is actually to change nothing, to leave the durability, the spawn rates, everything the same, but take the damage resistance on armor down 10% across the board. Right now, it's 30, 40, and 50% for each tier of armor. If this were lowered to 20, 30, 40%, you would have armor that protects you a little bit less, but is overall more durable and will last you longer, and the rarity wouldn't matter quite as much, and the level 3 armor wouldn't be quite as influential in gunfights, and I think that's overall the best idea. But that's just me. I don't make games, I just play them and complain about them on YouTube. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something useful from it. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.